Hello and welcome to the local marketing live stream with myself, Lou Corley. And today I'm going to speak about SEO. And here's the scenario. You got one business owner who has no idea what it is I'm talking about, right? Doesn't know what SEO is or visibility on search, doesn't know what a robot text file is, has no idea what it relates to when it comes to search. And then you have the other business owner, which is obsessed, right? That is obsessed about keywords and key topics and the robot text file and like checking what competitors are doing, website is doing. And these kind of two extremes, neither one is the right approach as a business owner to think about search. Because as business owners, strategically, we want to think about search as how do we ensure that we are visible for when our clients are looking for answers or looking for us as their ideal solution to the problem they're solving for. So today, I really want to provide some clarity around what it is we mean by search visibility. What are the key foundational principles that you need to be aware of so you can make more informed choices about your investment in this space and try to, as best I can, kind of remove some of the myths or misconceptions around SEO and AEO and some of these other things that are emerging where I'm seeing people making some very expensive mistakes in this space. So I want to help provide some clarity around this. So as we go through in the live stream, as always, you're welcome to ask me questions. So let me just turn on the live chat now. So turn it on. And also I'll check the comments on social media and YouTube. So they come through, I'll do my best to answer them as they come through. So let's jump into it, right? And again, let's just start with, I guess, a really quick definition. When we talk about SEO or AEO or any of these type of stuff, when we're talking about search, it's really just about when people are looking for what it is that you do, that you show up. And people are searching differently now than what they have been in the past. A couple of years ago, everyone would start and pretty much stay in searching on Google. These days, we're using multiple avenues, multiple platforms for search. Yes, we're still using Google, but we're also asking our AI chatbot. We're jumping on Facebook groups and asking for recommendations. We're jumping on TikTok and looking for content to help us answer some of these questions. We're jumping on Instagram. We're jumping on YouTube. We're diversifying our search, and we're actually asking these questions more and more than we ever have. So all of us are searching more across more platforms. So the challenge for us as business owners is, well, where are people searching for the types of solutions or services that I offer? Are they searching for this on LinkedIn? Are they searching for it in Facebook groups? Are they doing a Google search first? Are they looking at map listings, directory sites, associations, industry groups, like part of a listing on a BNI directory site? Like, how are people looking for this service I offer, and do I show up? That's key. The other thing is, and this is also really important to understand, is we can get all caught up in what we have in the past around the technical side of search optimization. But at the heart is, are you a trustworthy answer to the question that's being asked? Can these platforms, regardless of what they are, can they trust that you are the right person to recommend, to suggest, to provide content to? That's key. And something that can be a really difficult question to ask ourselves is when we assess our own online presence. So if you go to your website, Google yourself, check out your socials, based on that online presence alone, would you choose you? Does that show up as like someone trustworthy who's going to deliver on their promises? That's going to fix my hot water unit, that's going to help me with my accounting or bookkeeping in my business, or provide good quality legal advice, or whatever it might be. Do you show up as a trustworthy source? Right? That's key. So trust is really, really important. The other thing with the emergence of generative AI is that it's just flooded the internet with all this duplicative content. So these systems have had to figure out, well, how do we determine what content to show and what content to ignore, right? And there's this idea of information gain. Are you providing something that's unique and helpful? So for the local business owner, right, based here on the Sunshine Coast, the way you provide unique, helpful content is associating, the region. So hey, like homeowners in Budrum, here's the plans, here's the very specific plans that you should have in your garden over these key seasonal periods. And here's how to water. Like, been really, really focused in on providing unique, helpful content that highlights your story, your expertise, that speaks directly to whoever your customers are, and hey, like homeowners, whatever it might be. Very, very important. Because the days of trying to get all the keywords in a blog, trying to speak in generic language like plumber, Sunshine Coast, right? These kind of old methods, like what tends to happen, I see it time and time again, is business owners who are investing in what they think is SEO or helping them to improve their rankings, and they're getting all this content produced on their website, but it's all duplicative content that doesn't have a personality, doesn't have a point of view, it doesn't have a unique perspective, it's not actually speaking directly to their customers, it's not being helpful, and it's kind of just regenerated content that's existed in the past. And if you're doing that, then you're more likely to have your website deranked or have these pages no longer featured in search because it's not adding to anything, right? It's not information gain. So very, very important. The other thing to be really mindful of too, and this is something that you may not be aware of that's happening right now, is your website may actually be blocking all the AI bots and all these kind of sophisticated AI scrapers, which means you may not be actually showing up on any of the search engines or AI chatbots because your website's blocking it. Now, there's a couple of reasons why it might be blocking it. First, it was something standard for most web hosts and web developers to block all bot traffic, all right? Because a couple of years ago, why would we want bot traffic on the website, right? Like outside of like the Google spot to kind of scrape the site for search rankings, the last thing we want is our websites to be attacked by these bots, because often it was, malicious or not ideal for what we're looking for. We wanted to devote our server resources and devote the content to real humans. But here's the thing, right? Over 50% of website traffic now is bots, right? It is these AI bots who are spending the most amount of time researching, gathering intel from all these different websites and pulling it into these AI overviews. So if you haven't updated what's called your robot text file in a couple of years, you may not realize that you're blocking most of this traffic. If you're using something like Cloudflare or some other programs on DS management, there might also be some scripts or some other things put in place to, again, prevent bot traffic. So you might need to just review it to make sure that is indeed accessible. And it's really important to get the balance right. So the quick mistake you could make is making it available to all the bots, right? And then you're just opening yourself up to being attacked by scams or frauds and all that type of stuff. But it also puts a lot of pressure on the server because it's got to, all the resources required to provide content for every one of these requests. So you want to make sure you're kind of balancing the needs a lot. So really key stuff, right? So the way I usually speak to this, when I'm providing advice for business owners, is to focus on the big three. First is to have a great website with great content, right? That is unique and helpful. All right, so that's key. The website, its content, unique and helpful, performs well. And that includes, the technical SEO as well. You want to make sure that your developer is using schema, that it's using, the meta tags. It's thinking about the accessibility of the website, supply alt tags, like all those things that helps to improve the overall performance of the website. It makes it much easier for these bots to review the content, obviously embedded. But for you as a business owner, you should be able to look at your website and go, that is an honest, authentic reflection of what I do and how I help, right? It should resonate with you. It should tell your story, right? It should be like indicate your trust. So make sure you're putting plenty of energy into good quality content in a website that performs well. Second is to show up consistently online. And by this, I mean that you are consistently posting in the platforms that matter most to you and your clients. So if that's LinkedIn, you're posting regularly on LinkedIn. If it's Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, TikTok, whatever that might be for you. And also posting in your Google business profile as well, but regularly sharing content that showcases the work that you do, that builds the trust, right? Helps to build the brand, showcasing photos that is locally taken, right? That has you in it and your customers and your team members, and really thinking about how you consistently show up online, because that helps build the trust, builds the brand, and helps to kind of connect the dots. Because one of the key things that is a real challenge now for AI is managing inconsistencies, right? If you show up on one platform and you've got a different address, a different phone number, slightly different business name, maybe on another directory website, you've got old services and old pricing, and you might show up in 20, 30 different places online, but there's a ton of inconsistencies across that content that the Facebook doesn't match the LinkedIn, doesn't match your directory, doesn't manage your listing on this business group you're part of. If there's a ton of inconsistencies, and the AI is then got to try to figure out which is the truth, right? And it may not necessarily choose your website. It might choose other sources that have a higher domain authority as the place of truth. And that's the risk that you have. So one of the biggest things you can do is in audit, make sure that you're showing up consistently online. And as you're sharing content, it is relevant, up to date, correct, all that type of stuff. And if it's no longer relevant, it's okay to delete stuff. I think one of the things that we get a little bit caught up on is where to keep all the blogs on our website. Even the one from 5 years ago, it's like, hey, if it's no longer relevant, if it's no longer helpful, then it's okay to delete it or update it so it is relevant and timely and helpful. But if you're like, you know what, this is something that just it's long gone, I don't need it, it's okay to delete stuff. Right, you might still make sure you got a proper 404 page, or redirect to a more relevant source. Like really think about, if you're going to delete something, source of traffic, where the destination is. But really think about all of that, right? To make sure that you're showing up consistently online, so there's no inconsistencies across the platform. So do that audit. And the third is reviews, right? Please do not underestimate the importance of the Google review, TripAdvisor, Rate My Agent, these different platforms where there are verified customer reviews. It is incredibly important because it is a key indicator that you are trustworthy, that you deliver on your promises. And the key is consistency, right? So you want to make sure that you've got a system in place where you're consistently getting reviews. So if you're a service provider, it might be a thank you card. Like, hey, thank you so much for using my service. On the back might be like, hey, give us a Google review with a QR code. Maybe you bundle like a little chocolate or a mint or a coupon code or card for a coffee or something, make it local. There's that policy, there's a research that kind of shows that if you give something, people are more likely to give something back. So it's a reason why people often will give you the mint before they ask for the review, right? It does help to increase conversions. So really think about that of like, what's your process for securing reviews? And that's the key, right? So good quality website with unique, helpful content. Make sure you're showing up consistently online, and that's your pages as well as your posts, and then reviews, right? And making sure you've got to consistently getting reviews that speak to what you provide. So very, very important. Alrighty. So so one of the things that in terms of just more stuff that you can work on, one of the things that we changed with how we build websites is a shift from these sort of generic service pages of like plumbing, Noosa, or like, those types of things that was very common 5 years ago, is we are now writing content for customers, customer-specific pages, where we're going, okay, well, how do we make sure that we are telling those stories, right? Like, hey, if you're a property manager in Noosa, here's the different services that we offer to help you. Here's the other property managers in Noosa that have used our services before. Here's their stories and testimonials. You might show some photos before and after, or taken in Noosa. So like you're building the local story and local evidence of the work that you do in a way that feels helpful and useful for decision making. So I've shared examples of this before. Mates Rates. Property maintenance is one of the websites we did that's very laser focused in on customer specific pages. Brasser Electrical, also another one where we've got a dedicated page for property managers and Airbnb hosts and specializations in like air conditioning locally. So all that type of stuff, really, really good. So I just want to make sure you're thinking about, as you jump on your website, am I not just introduce myself regularly, but am I actually speaking to my local customers? Hey, here's what we're going to do in Noosa. Here's what you're going to do in Budrum, and sharing those stories and those photos and making it feel very, very localized, very, very powerful. All right, just check my notes here. The other thing I wanted to share too, different tools that you can use to kind of check your visibility, right, in terms of your search visibility. And for this, I might share my screen briefly. So I'll share my screen here. Make Do that. Cool, because there are a couple of really good tools that you can use. Let me just bring this up over here. Alrighty. Cool. All right. So the first one, I have mentioned this before, is Uber Suggest by Neil Patel. The free version is a little bit limited, but still worth grabbing a hold of and taking a first look. One of the things that that they've done here is, in addition now to showing how you're performing in search, they now add AI search visibility as well. So where they can check to see how you show up across a variety of different prompts or different topics, as a way to kind of check how you're performing. So a really cool way to get a sense on what you're doing and if it's working well. The other thing I recommend that you do as well, yeah, I'll stop sharing here. Yeah, the other thing I recommend you do too is, next time you catch up with a mate or you're at a networking event, actually search each other on your respective chatbots, right? So on your chat GPT, on their chat GPT, kind of search, hey, tell me what you know about, Bones plumbing, right? So type it in and kind of see what comes back. And that was a really good way to kind of sense check, is the information coming to you accurate? Because that might help determine inconsistencies and also what sources of information they're using to tell your story. Because I think that might be surprising as well. So a lot of our members on Buy Local Sunshine Coast have discovered that their listing on Buy Local Sunshine Coast is actually being used as a source over their own website, because our domain authority is much higher than it is for their website. So it's using the Buy Local listing as a more trusted source about this business. And maybe their website is blocking AI traffic as well. So that could be a cause, but it's using these other kind of third-party websites as sources of truth. So please do that check. Get the other person to a look and see what sources the AI tool is using, and that might give you an indicator what are the things that you need to update. So really worth doing that. The other thing that I also recommend checking out is Google Search Console has also now opened up the ability to connect your Google business profile and your social media pages to it as well. So now you're providing a much more complete picture of not only the sources of traffic, but you're also kind of making it easier for Google to kind of connect those sources of truth. So I do recommend speaking to your developer, because it's relatively new, of just making sure that you're updating Google Search Console with some of the additional sources beyond just the website to help kind of connect those dots. Same with your Google business profile, make sure you're adding the social links as well. And a lot now, if you do go like LinkedIn and Facebook, it gives the options to have multiple links. So it's helpful to kind of help these tools and these search platforms connect the dots, right? So make sure you do that as well. All right, so I think that's all I had in terms of the key notes. What I did want to provide as well, it's just a little bit of guidance, right? So today was about clarity. I just want to make sure you felt really comfortable in kind of where SEO is today, or search engine optimization. So I have created a checklist for you. So I'll just open it up, and then I'll share my screen again. Cool. Alrighty, so I'll just go back to the top here. So free as always, don't need to provide an email address, just click to download. But the AI visibility audit checklist, and just gives you some like a step-by-step guide on doing that audit to make sure you're doing what you can do as a business owner, particularly those solopreneurs who just need a little bit of guidance, right? So this 3-step visibility check kind of gives you those guidance on the different things to do, and just provide a summary of those results and the sources it used. Then it's got like how to check your robot text file, just to make sure you're not blocking the AI agents that you don't want blocked. So make sure you're checking that. And then your service page to custom page rewrite. So really thinking about, hey, am I showing up the way that I need to? And maybe it's time to update my service pages to customer pages. Yeah, cool. Let me just close that. Yeah, and as always, feel free to book a marketing clarity session with me. The link is on the post or on the description, or wherever you're kind of finding this video. And happy to walk you through it. So happy to do an audit with you on the website to make sure that everything that can be done is being done. What are the quick wins that we can provide in terms of kind of refining the quality of content, making sure we're checking that you're showing up consistently online across your social platforms, and that you have a plan in place for reviews. We get quite creative. That's where we can brainstorm together, like, What are different methods that we can put in place to ensure you're getting those consistent flow of reviews on the platform that matters most to you. So last little share my screen so you know where to get the resources. I'll bring this back up again. Right. So as always, go to the Buy Local website, resources, local marketing, live stream articles, jump into here, the latest episode, episode 11, and then jump in here. And that's obviously the info we provided here shortly. But you can download. I did create slides. I just didn't want to use them today. There's the checklist that I've shared with you. And of course, you can always book the marketing clarity session with us. 60 minutes, happy to provide high quality advice to support. And if you just use the word live when booking, you'll get a $100 discount with that booking. And do make sure when you're on here, check out some of the guides we've got. I just launched the new small business guide just last week. Very, very cool info. Check it out here. There's like some incredible sources for local businesses around grants and funding just the services that are available to support your business. Like Mentoring for Growth is really cool. This here, Digital Solutions for Small Business, a very cool service. So just jump on and check it out. I think you'd be quite surprised the level of service support that's available for local businesses at the council level, at the state level, and even at the federal level. So there's just a ton of sources here. So I do recommend you check that out. The new Buy Local Small Business Guide. Cool. Hold on, let me stop sharing again. Cool. So thank you as always for joining us. A quick one today. But yeah, hopefully you got a little bit of clarity there. Please do not obsess over keywords and key phrases and what your competitors are doing. Don't do that. Also, don't ignore it, right? Because that's also a mistake as well. Everyone is searching. Everyone's asking questions. They're asking questions everywhere now. So the most important thing is to build brand, build trust, that you are the right place to go to answer their questions. You do that with a big three, good quality website, right, with unique, helpful content. Make sure that you're showing up consistently online, wherever you are, and of course, consistently getting reviews. You do those three things, you're gonna be just fine. So as always, thank you for joining us, and I'll see you same time next week.